Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Money Talks with Ayanna Smith. And I am your host, Ayanna Smith. And we're coming this month celebrating the Financial Planning Month. And along with that, I'm looking to infuse this month with a bunch of great guests, a bunch of great people who are experts in what they do. So, listen, we are really set up for something great this evening just to do a few talks and a few chats about some wills and estate planning. Are we prepared? And we're looking to have our super guest to come alongside us and share a bit, and we'll get right into it in just a few moments, right after this. Hello, hello, hello. And we are back. We are back. We are back. And tonight, as I said, we are going to really try to get into some things. But I want you to basically grab a pen, pencil, and all of that, and grab a friend and tag a few people because we are going to really talk about some things that hopefully will make a lot of sense. We know that we're in the season of the fourth quarter, and we've been talking about some different activities as far as looking at making sure we have things in order with our cash flow, making sure that we have things in order with our life insurances, making sure that we have things in order for all of the things that are important and that mean the most to us in the time of need. We're going to be looking at people who are in the healthcare industry, and also that will talk about some of the woes that people encounter when they go into, say, they have to go into rehabilitation for a certain amount of time and how that looks. And so we really want to get into and make sure that we are prepared and that we are really, really enhanced when it comes to having all of our ducks in a row. Wills and estate planning. Are we excited about that? Absolutely. We have to be excited about that because whether we want to talk about it or not, we know that these things are coming. Now, I myself, I think about I'm a person who looking. I'm a single. Let's say single, and we're looking at making sure that we're covered no matter what, that we're protected, and that we are and that we have our ducks in a row. So we have a wonderful, wonderful expert who is going to be sharing and sharing and helping us to put all of this together. And of course, if you look at the show notes, we know this lady is just dynamic, and lady has a whole bunch going on. Her life is extremely busy, and so glad that she's in the virtual green room, ready to share some knowledge and some nuggets. So as I said, grab a pen, grab a friend, and make sure that you are putting pen to paper. So when we talk about are we prepared when we're looking at wills and estate planning, with that we really have that. So our expert is attorney Assata Kimbrough, who is out of North Carolina, and she has been an attorney for quite some time. And so she's going to come and she's an expert, and she'll tell you all about it. But listen, you just look at the show notes and know that she's going to share some wonderful things. And I'm just excited to have her with me. So we're going to bring her out of the virtual green room and bring her to the stage. And let's see if we can get her on. Awesome. She is here.
Hello, hello, hello. How are you tonight?
I am okay. On the move per usual. And I know you are as well. Looks like you still working.
Well, I stayed in work attire for you. Normally, I would not be like this at 9 o'clock, but for you, I stayed and worked. Figure if you wanted an attorney, I should at least try to look like an attorney, right?
We're already having a ball. If you want an attorney, at least I need to look like one. I love it. Well, you're looking well, looking
Well,
fine.
thank you.
And
So
yeah,
just let me say, I'm so honored to be up here with you tonight. And I hope I can give you some good information, or maybe answer some questions that you might have.
oh, I know you will. I don't have to worry about that. And then, of course, make sure that we know people can contact you. www is it? What's your web address? I put it in the notes.
It's www.buffalo law. That's BUFFALOE law, all one word, at gmail.com.
Okay, awesome. So we put that up front, and you do hail from and licensed in the state of North Carolina, the good old state of North Carolina, my home state. Yes.
Yes, that's right. Yes, I am. Well, let me just give you a little bit of background, and I need to throw out some disclaimers before we go any further. Okay, is that okay?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So again, my name is Assata Kimbrough Buffaloe. I am a licensed attorney. I've been licensed in the state of North Carolina since 1995. Trying to think. So I did my undergraduate work at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And then I went to law school at Wake Forest, graduated in 95 and passed the bar that year, and so I've been practicing ever since. So I've been in private practice now since 2012. And I have my own office in a hospital in North Carolina. So just let me say before we go any further, this is a general disclaimer. I'm going to talk about estates and wills and trusts in general terms. You should not use any of this as direct legal advice, because your particular situation has certain facts or whatever that are particular to you, and you should always seek the advice of legal counsel before embarking on a will, to try to administer an estate, or to, if you want to create a trust, anything like that. You need to speak to a licensed attorney who works and does that kind of thing. Okay, so I'm just going to be speaking in general terms, and I'm definitely not licensed in Virginia, although the rules are very similar. So we can talk about that. Okay.
Awesome. Awesome. Yes, I love it. Yes, exactly. But I just, because people have been asking questions, and that's been so many buzzwords. You see so many different things on social media and little clips here and there, and people giving out information. But the thing is, it is very important, as you said, to speak to someone directly if they are in another state, or just period, just speak to someone very directly. Just like I tell people, I said, people say, well, listen, can you just help me with insurance? I said, I can, but I need to know some background. There's some things that I have to ask. And so basically we have to have a discovery session, so I will know how to support. And I know that's the same thing with you. You have to have some type of discovery session, what people have going on, to even get a comprehensive plan in place for people. So yeah. So I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. So yeah, so let's start off. Of course, I always like to tell people, I say I know my guests, and how I know my guests, or how I met my guests. And most of my guests, some of them recently, I've met them on social media. Well, I haven't met you on social media. I met you a long time. I met you a long time ago.
A long time ago. I started to break out the picture of us in the pigtails and the little joke, but I said, no, America is not ready for all that. So, but you and I have known each other since almost birth.
Our lives completely,
right.
all of our lives.
Yeah, all of our lives. Yeah, we went to the same church together. Our mothers are still very good friends.
Yes.
Matter of fact, I saw your mama the other night. So yes.
Right. So it's just like it's a reunion, but at the same time, I respect the expertise that you bring to the table, because people need to hear it hear it from a person who was serving as a person of law and or say an officer of the court. Let's say it like that.
Okay. Yeah, you make
So
it sound fancy, but okay.
yeah. Well, listen, it is. It's a respectable thing, but of course, in the day to day, I know you're like, okay, I'm just me, and that's great too.
Yeah.
But we do want to get into talking about wills because people are talking about estate plan and what is it, just as an overview, and just some general things that we need to think about. So, give us enough nuggets to where I whistle, and I'll let you just kind of give an overview on what
You there?
estate plan entails. Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me
Hello?
okay?
You there?
Mm-hmm. Can you hear me
Can you
okay?
hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. I can hear you.
I'm having some internet issues. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I
Can you
can.
see me?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. All right, you go ahead. You're frozen on my end, but I'll keep talking. As long as you can see me and you can hear me, we're good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Can you hear me? Oh goodness, are we kind of muting out? Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh goodness. Okay. All right. Well, we will of course keep on going because sometimes technology does mix and mess us up, but it's okay. She'll come back in and we will go from there. But we are listening to Assata Kimbrough Buffaloe, and she is an attorney who is licensed in North Carolina and who's going to share with us about the estate planning and the wills and all that good stuff because we need to know about those things. All right. And I see that now she is back in. We will reconnect. All right. I tell you, technology will have you doing some of everything.
Look, y'all, I live in the country, so I am so sorry. The internet is not like y'all have it. I mean, so I apologize, but I
Okay.
think we're good now. So
Okay.
let's get to it.
All right. So yeah. So let's reel out and let us hear about estate planning. What are some of the? I know it's the overarching like an umbrella. So what are some of the key points to hit when we think about estate planning? And because most of the time we don't even hear that term when we're generally. I know growing up we didn't hear estate planning. We have enough insurance, put us in the ground, and then yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, and actually, having life insurance is a part of estate planning. It can be. I do counsel people because it's a wonderful way to have a set amount of money and it's set aside for a particular beneficiary or group of beneficiaries, and that money is going to them. As long as you pay the insurance policy like you're supposed to, you don't have to worry about it going through probate or anything like that. So, but anyway, as to my part, okay, so for estate planning, the first thing that I always tell people is everybody needs to do estate planning. And some people, particularly when you're in your 20s or 30s, you're really not thinking about, but, all of us born of a woman, we will surely die, right? We are all, heading towards that reality. And so just like anything else in your life, you should make a plan for that in the event something happens. So then your loved ones are not left with trying to figure out what, how, why. They're already dealing with the grief and the loss. So it's better to just go ahead and have something in place. So then they're like, this is how she wanted it, or this is how he wanted things to go. That's the first thing. Second thing is, particularly once you start having children, you need to have at least a will. And the reason is because when you start having children, then you need to indicate in the will who you would want to be a guardian for your child in the event that something happened to you. Okay. And let's just as a brief, I'm going to be very basic. What is a will? A will is a document that is created. It's designed to list out someone's assets, and then how they would like those assets to be distributed upon their death. A will also speaks to things like, I have children that are under the age of 18, and I would like this person to have care of my children if something happens to me. Okay, so that's a will. You can wills are normally done two ways. You can have what's called a holographic will, and that's where a person writes out, scratches out on a piece of notes of paper. This is me. I'm not crazy. This is how I want things to go, and they just write it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Will a holographic will, is it legal? Yes, it can be, but it's more subject to being challenged. Okay. If you come to an attorney, or if you go to like LegalZoom or one of those places, if you go there and you say, okay, I'm going to type out a will, which you can do. Either someone like me will prepare it, or you can go online and try to prepare your own. The main thing you need to do is you want your will to be self-proving. What is a self-proving will? A self-proving will is a will that's witnessed by two disinterested people. What disinterested means, they're not going to get anything under your will. They don't have a thing. They don't have a dog in this fight. They're just witnessing you saying, yes, she's not crazy, and yes, she knows what she's doing, and yes, I watched her sign this, and I know that that's her. Okay. If you have two people that sign the will, those signatures are notarized, that is what's called a self-proving will. And at your death, someone can then just go to the clerk's office in the county where you live, take the will, and say, hey, look, this is her will, and I want to probate that will. That's what the term probate means. You open up an estate, and the process to handle it is you're going into probate court, or you're going to probate the will. Okay.
I was going to ask you, I said, could you explain what probate means? Because sometimes we get mixed up with the terminology and say, well, what is that? Because you did make a key point. Life insurance just, it evades that. It doesn't have anything to do with it, because life insurance has beneficiaries, and wherever the beneficiaries, whomever you leave, or whatever entity, church or organization, that's who gets it, and a will cannot trump the beneficiaries. So people can't say, well, I know mama would have wanted me, daddy would have wanted me to have XYZ from their insurance, but if your name is not on as a beneficiary to split it, you do not get it. It's the one whose name is on it.
Even if the will says, and most wills do, they have a clause that says, I want all my personal property to be split between my children. Okay. Personal property in general will cover money in bank accounts. But if it's an insurance issue, like you said, it can be insurance, it can be 401k, it could be an IRA.
Yes.
It could be retirement. Those are the main four, where that you name a beneficiary, and that is the person that at death, as long as they present a valid death certificate and whatever documentation they want, that person will get the funds, and only that person will get the funds. No one else can challenge it.
Correct. And that's one thing that people have to even think about, even, and I can insert this, even if people their beneficiaries pass away, they need to update things. Yes. If your spouse dies, or you get divorced or something like that, remarry, all those things need to be tightened up, because sometimes second and third teams get cut out when it's just not, the business is not taken care of. Seen it happen.
I cannot tell you. Most of the time when lawyers and everything get involved, we either get it on the front end where somebody's really taking care of business and they do the will, or it's on the back end when somebody has been married or has children with a person, and then later in life they remarry or get a girlfriend or boyfriend, and they live together with them for years and years and years, right? And then at death, they may have a will or they may not have a will, but then it's a question about, okay, well, who makes decisions and who gets to say what, and what are we supposed to do with this money, and the cars and the house.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that's when people start fighting and stuff over stuff. And so exactly like you said, you really need to stay on top of it and keep up with what you're doing as your life progresses.
Correct. So, so with that piece, make sure, and either way, you have to sit down and talk to someone to talk you through your situation, because I know that even talking, and I plan to have some funeral directors to speak as well. That even gets convoluted in that, and they go through the similar fights that you probably see because of misnamed people or people not named at all.
I've had people leave the funeral home and come to my office and be like, so and so is at the funeral home and they would, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, whoa, I'm gonna need y'all to calm down and take it down a peg, and then and so me and the funeral director on the phone, and I'm like, well, what do you want me to tell these people? So yeah.
So it is very important to have these conversations. Oftentimes we just want to live life going forward, but when we're riding down the road, there is some scenery.
Sure.
So those are the things we have to kind of take. Okay, do we want to insert this now? Yeah, I think we need to pull off and go and view this and get our paperwork together. So what's some of the next things you talked about, the open up the probate. So after that process, what would be the next things kind of under the umbrella of estate planning?
Okay, so let me go back. In North Carolina, one good thing you can do is a will is either kept in, usually if a lawyer does it, we'll keep a copy of the will. Some clerk's offices will allow you to file the will or place it in the clerk's office for safekeeping. And so, but wherever, if you do a will, you need to make sure you know where it is so somebody can get to it upon death. Okay. Some other things that you want to think about for estate planning, or if you're thinking about you want to go talk to a lawyer, you need to list out all your assets. Okay. What do you have? Real property, that's land or houses. You need to list all those. And then you need to look at personal property. Do you have cars? Do you have jewelry? Do you have stocks or bonds? Do you have anything like that? Okay. And then you make a decision. Like some women come in and they have particular jewelry items and they want them to go to particular nieces or nephews or daughters or granddaughters. Then you need to assign this goes here. Or some, I had a lady, she had a lot of fur coats and she wanted to make sure that her coats went to the niece that knew how to take care of them and how to store them and things like that. And so you need to list all those things out. That if you do that ahead of time, it'll make it so much faster and easier when you're trying to come in and do this paperwork. Okay. Some other things you want to think about are: do you want to give a power of attorney? A power of attorney is a document that allows a person to make legal decisions for you in the event that something incapacitates you, like a stroke or something catastrophic, but it's quick. Okay, so you're here 1 minute and you're gone, and I'm not gone, but you're unable to make decisions the next. If so, then you need to talk about that. And if so, think carefully about who you're going to give your power to, because once it starts up, it can be hard to pull a power of attorney back. Okay, you can, but it can be hard. Then the other thing you want to think about is, do you want a living will? Okay. A living will is a document that says, in the event that I have is a catastrophic event, I either want health, extraordinary means, or I want nutrition and hydration. Some people say, no, I don't want, I'll let God, it's my time to go, I want to go. And then some people, like my mother, are like, I got good insurance and I want everything possible. I want them to, keep working on me, and that's a decision, people, So, but you need to think about, do you want a living will, and do you want a healthcare power of attorney, which basically allows the person to make healthcare decisions for them.
And all of those things are very different. They serve certain purposes. One ends at certain times, and all that is so. It's really a lot of things to think about when you say a power of attorney. That's somebody functioning. If I'm correct, that's functioning as that person. They can function as, if you gave me power of attorney, I could function as you.
Yes, you could sell property for me. You could make contracts for me. You can go into my bank accounts, Social Security, anything. If whatever I give you, you're able to do. The thing people need to remember is a power of attorney only exists during the person's lifetime. It dies with the person. And then a will kicks in. You see how that works?
Okay, so the
So some
power of
people get,
attorney ends. It ends when the person passes, and
yes,
then the will picks up.
yes,
Speaking, that person now speaking from the grave, so to speak.
exactly, exactly. A lot of people get that confused. So, yeah.
And then the power, you said the living will. The living will, does that have to do with the health of the
A
person?
living will, another way to look, there's called sometimes is a healthcare directive.
Okay.
Same thing. But all it does is it says that in the event that I have some kind of terminal or catastrophic healthcare condition where I am not able to speak for myself, I either want extraordinary means, I want you to do everything you can do to save my life. And two, I want or don't want hydration and food, like a feeding tube.
Mm-hmm.
And then you ask them, and so you indicate that. And okay, some people, you know how you see hospital rooms and you'll see DNR.
I was getting ready to ask you about that. I remember. I'll say personal. I'll insert personal. My grandmother was like that. She said, "Do not. That's do not resuscitate."
That's do not resuscitate. But that was her healthcare directive.
Right.
Follow what I'm saying? That's her healthcare directive. Same thing. That's all a living will is. It's either resuscitate me or don't. Okay. Give me feeding or not. Okay.
Gotcha.
All right.
Yeah.
It's just so much. I know we're about to time's about to run out, but
we'll get out a few minutes because we had a little, little glitch in our tech. So, but I want to get this out because people are asking questions, and I was like, you need to hear it from someone who can give you complete direction, and then contact her afterwards if you need further.
Oh, thank you for the plug. Appreciate that. Okay, so one thing we have not touched on, and sometimes people ask about this, is a trust. Okay, and so you don't really hear. Well, let me say that you don't really hear a whole lot about trust because usually it's for people that have acquired quite a bit of stuff. Okay. In order to have a trust, you have to be able to fund the trust, and that means you got to be able to put some assets in the trust.
Correct.
Okay. And so what a trust does is it holds those assets, and you give power to a trustee, and that person will then administer the assets for a beneficiary. A lot of times this happens when you have children. And you hear about people that say, oh, they've got a trust. So what happens is this person has placed money aside, and the trustee administers it, takes care of the money, or may give it out every so often to the beneficiary of the trust. Okay. Just know that if you want a trust, you do really need a lawyer to draw up a trust for you. It's not the type of thing that you should try to do on your own, because you need to be able to identify who's going to be your trustee. Is that person a good fiduciary? That means, are they good with money? The trustee also needs to understand they're going to have to do reporting every year, at least every year, but maybe even quarterly, on how the money's being handled and spent. And all those kinds of things. So you really need to talk to a lawyer if you want to do something like a trust.
Absolutely. Okay. And I know too, some people make their beneficiary of their life insurance policies to the trust. That's an
Yeah.
option. Well, but you have to, as as Attorney Buffaloe was saying, you have to have money to fund it, and it has to be a concerted effort. I know sometimes families will do it, but people have to be on such one accord so that the things can funnel through correctly, or then there again, it's family feud instead of family, fund.
Right. And then you have litigation to try to break the trust or replace the trustee, or that the trustee has messed up the money or spent all the money. And so you really have to make very, very good decisions about who's going to be handling the money, and those kinds of things. When is the money going to be dispersed out? Will they reach a certain age, or is it upon marriage, or, how are you going to do that? And you really need a lawyer to kind of work through those issues if you want to try to fund a trust and create one for grandchildren or somebody like that. I would recommend that.
Absolutely, because it's so many terms, so much jargon, state laws, this and that layer all that stuff, and we just can't scratch that one on a piece of paper like we can do that will.
Right. And you honestly, I mean, I'm not trying to put you really should probably let a lawyer, at least, don't try to do a will on your own either, because you can mess that up too. And then if you get it wrong, what'll happen is, if you die without a will, okay, you're considered to be what the legal term is called intestate. Okay. And then the property you have falls under what's called the intestate succession rules. So, for example, if a man, for example, if he passes without a will and he has, say, 2 children and a spouse, okay, most people feel like automatically if he has a spouse, the spouse takes all, right? No, under intestate succession, the spouse will only get a third. If it's 2 or more children, the spouse will get a third, and then the other children take the other 2/3. That's in North Carolina. I don't know the rules in Virginia. But you see what I'm saying? People don't understand that, and so they go, "Oh well, I'm the spouse, so I get no, not necessarily. It might not be that way." So it's better if you got stuff, do a will, so your property will go how you want it to go. And then you don't have your family and everybody fussing and fighting and carrying on over your grave like I've seen. I know you've seen it too,
Yes, it's really interesting, and that's why I always say we need to have a team as we're thinking about will and estate planning. We need to have a team, and I often say that team needs to include your attorney, your financial professional like myself, your doctor, any specialty doctors, and a funeral home director. And you really do.
And your tax preparer, because if you've got a large estate, then you need to make sure that your folks aren't going to get hit with inheritance tax. And there are ways to avoid that. So
yes, it is. It is right, and that's why we need an attorney to help navigate through that, and a tax preparer, a CPA to talk to us about those things, especially as people are leveling up and building their empires and all that. There's still some legalities attached that we sometimes don't even know. We're going forward, making money and doing different things. However, there's a time that we may not be able to make money, or life happens and we get sick, or just life happens and we're not here anymore. So how is all of what we tried to amass going to look like if we haven't even prepared for anything? It's just like we left a hole.
Well, I mean, it's like I tell people, you do all this work, you work all your life, you make all this money, and then you don't plan how it's supposed to go. Because I promise you, if you don't, your family, I mean, they are going to tear it up after you pass trying to get the money. So as hard as you work to get this money, plan for after you go. Like I said earlier, we all have to go this route. So accept that. Nobody's looking forward to it, but accept it and make plans for it, so that at that time, your family doesn't have to think about all that stuff. It's all set in stone for them. I think that's the kindest act of love you can do for your family, is to be prepared even for your death.
Correct. And that's why I say, right. And I often say, it's not just life insurance, it's love insurance, because it does leave a love letter to your family. And then, of course, it covers you while you're here and you get those critical, chronic, and terminal illnesses and all that. You still have something that you can keep yourself going and all that. But it's still a mess when things are not done properly and tied up in a bow, and we know A, B, C, and D, and nobody can speak from the grave, and saying what we thought mom or dad wants us to have is not going to hold up at all. And it just brings on more stress on top of the grief that's stressed enough.
Right. And then you got to pay somebody like me to help y'all figure it out.
Right.
And you're going to pay a whole lot more on the back end rather than if someone had taken the time to take care of it on the front end. So,
yeah. So, wow, this is loaded. And I tell you, it's almost like we need you to come back. But I really want to give that general overview. If anybody has any questions, please make sure that you reach out and connect with us as you're listening to replay and all that. That this is a topic that really needs to be delved into a little bit more than we realize. I often think about because we did grow up together. I say, wow, we are in the age group now when we were little, looking at our parents. And so it's like, oh my God.
Right. Do you have a will? You got your will straight?
Right. This is what I said. You have all this stuff like, how about your advanced directives and all of that? Is everything straight? So yeah, these are the questions that we have to ask ourselves concurrently. So we're running the race trying to make the money and make things work, but we have to know what will happen if we get stopped in our tracks and life stops.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been excellent. I am so excited. Any parting and final words, and also, your contact information again?
Okay, sure. Well, again, like I said, just thank you for the opportunity. I always I go to churches sometimes and do the same presentation because I think it's so important. Yes. And sometimes certain communities don't really focus on this kind of thing. So I think it's so important of what you're doing, and you're trying to get the word out to people. I'm licensed in North Carolina, so if anybody has any questions, if you want to reach me, my email address is Buffaloe Law, BU F like Frank, ALOELAW @gmail.com. So you can shoot me an email, or you can get in touch with Ayanna, and she'll forward the question on to me. And I'll be happy to answer it. If you, Ayanna, think that we need to get together and do this again, or expand will and estate planning too, then let me know, and we'll figure out a time and place and figure out how to, when we can get back together again. But I just want to thank you. It's been fun. I hope somebody has gotten something from it. And
yeah, we did. We had a comment from one of my good friends, a realtor and everything, Miss Cynthia Daniels, who said that she said this is an excellent topic. So that's why I said sometimes we want to ease into it and jump around and skirt around it. But just like I said, money is always talking, even if we aren't talking about it. That's and things in our life are always happening, even if we don't talk about it. They're still going to happen one way or the other. And when it comes to just preparing for the future and preparing for now is very, very important, because it's just a timely thing to do. So we will be reaching back out so we can do a round 2. We might have to do a round 3 because this is important. And so we appreciate your time and efforts and all that good stuff. And just hold on for a moment, and we're going to close out, and we'll be right back. So thank you so much, Attorney Buffaloe, for your time. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
All right. We are so excited that we had that talk. And again, my name is Ayanna Smith. I am your life insurance broker. Remember, money is always talking, even if we aren't talking about it. Connect with me at www.askayanna.com. If you have any questions, need to make a complimentary consultation so that we can get these things taken care of from the beginning to the ending. So this is Ayanna Smith, and we are excited that you came on. Please like, share, comment, and press the replay and let us know that you heard this great information. Have a great evening.